We are sorting out a violent and confusing afternoon in Aurora. Next begins with the latest on a shooting outside the Aurora Mall. Then we ask why another state legislator accused of sexual harassment seems to have gotten demoted today. Denver's restrictive zoning for marijuana businesses means new green spaces. You can see them on a map. A rarely heard perspective on drunk driving from the mother of a woman who made a horrible choice. And think back, who was your favorite teacher in school? His is the teacher who saved his life. That's next. The vehicular homicide suspect at the center of the latest battle between Denver and immigration agents is back in custody tonight. Ivan Zamarripa Castaneda turned himself in to immigration agents a bit before 5 o'clock this afternoon. ICE, you'll recall, was incensed by Denver's decision to let Zamarripa Castaneda walk out of jail last weekend without giving ICE a heads up. They wanted to hold him for deportation. Police say Zamarripa Castaneda is suspected of driving drunk when he hit a truck on I-70, killing the driver and fleeing the scene. Denver Sheriff has apologized for not telling ICE that Zamarripa Castaneda was bonding out. He's promised an investigation of what went wrong. Police and news crews scrambled out to the Aurora Mall today on the report of a fight and shooting, all fearing a repeat of that Christmas 2016 brawl that involved hundreds of people at the mall. What happened today turned out to be two separate violent incidents, but that took a while to establish. Here's what we know. There was a fight near the food court and shots fired, but the person who was found shot not too far away from the mall was actually the suspect in an attempted robbery of a grocery store several blocks away. Police think this guy was shot by a civilian who tried to intervene. Back at the grocery store at Mississippi and Peoria, police found a woman shot as well. I've been critical here of Democrats and Republicans at the state legislature for how they have handled sexual harassment allegations. Republicans raised the bar for expulsion to protect their people. Democrats expelled a rogue member of their party who was a thorn in their side, but took no action against a conventional Democrat who was also accused. Well, today, he was stripped of a leadership role. Marshall Zellinger's been on the phone for the last couple hours trying to sort this out. And Marshall, you're being told that this change, this demotion, is unrelated to the harassment claim. Yeah, in November, after the sexual harassment claims against Steve Lebsock became public, another lawmaker was named in a complaint. State Representative Paul Rosenthal was accused of sexually harassing a man at a political event before he was a lawmaker. Lebsock and Rosenthal were chair and vice chair of the local government committee, but were both demoted. They stayed on the committee after the accusations. Clearly, Lebsock is out now that he's not a lawmaker, and Rosenthal has remained on this committee. But he was also on the Business Affairs and Labor Committee. This afternoon, we found out he's off that one altogether. But he told me he asked to be taken off so that he can dedicate more time communicating with his constituents. The House Speaker determined that since the accusations against Rosenthal happened before he was a lawmaker, it was not the legislature's place to investigate. Another change, Representative Mike Foote is off the powerful Judiciary Committee. He told me it's one of the three busiest committees this year, that he's on three busy committees this year, and it's proving to be too much. Well, Foote also announced he's running for Boulder DA now that Stan Garnett called it quits, so three committees makes campaigning a bit much more difficult, Kyle. A lot of news out of the legislature today, and it's a Friday afternoon, so it's a great time to dump news that you don't want people to see. Not that we think that kind of thing around here. Thank you, Marshall. So we have seen different standards and different systems for handling sexual harassment allegations in the state house, different one in the state senate, different standard by Denver City Council. Today we asked two political consultants, Democrat and Republican, whether Colorado would benefit from a single standard.
I think that's a fairly complicated question. I mean, if you're going to design a system that handles all complaints, it should be one that prioritizes the survivors of harassment and assault. It's very clear that what's going on in the state capitol has been going on for a very, very long time. And I'm personally proud of the Democratic majority who handled the sexual harassment scandal of one of their own by bringing a resolution to expel him in a bipartisan fashion. There are only 9 no votes. I hope that the state Senate takes the same action with Randy Baumgardner and decides to expel him as well.
Yeah, so the system should be something that is consistent regardless of who is the one being accused. I think we want people to have confidence that there are no political agendas. You look at what happened at the State House, you look at what's happening in the city of Denver, and they don't seem to be treated equally. I am old enough to remember when we recalled people who didn't do the job that we wanted to do, and I would have loved to see these folks be recalled so that they're voted out by the people who voted them in.
She's talking about the gun control recalls. And recalls do require time and money under Colorado law because you have to gather petition signatures in order to force a recall election. Getting our first look at the non-disclosure agreements Denver City Council had to sign in order to hear the inside info about sexual harassment allegations after the mayor was accused. Here's the key portion. It says City Council cannot talk about what the city attorney briefed them on because it might violate a payoff made to a former friend of the mayor who once worked for him. Wayne McDonald was fired for sexually harassing Detective Leslie Branch Weiss, the same police officer who got sexually suggestive text messages from Mayor Michael Hancock. McDonald fought his firing successfully. He was awarded $200,000, and he could sue and win more if anybody on council violates the city's non-disparagement agreement with him. So you can't just put a pot business anywhere in Denver. As Denver now looks at only its second application in 6 months, our Steve Steger found a map of, I guess, what you might call green zones.
Yeah, and Kyle, you don't see many of them. This map is from Canna Zoning. That is a cannabis mapping consultant that's out of state. Now, they took data from the city and then plugged it into the map to show you where businesses would be eligible to allow cannabis consumption. So the ordinance allows voters to, or the voters, let me try that again. The ordinance that voters approve says that businesses can't be within 1,000 feet of a school. The city's licensing department made some additional rules. Can't be within 1,000 feet of a child care facility, a city-owned pool or rec center, and a drug or alcohol treatment facility. So all of those restrictions are in red here on this map. The remaining space is green. You see it's not much. If you zoom in, it's a little bit more than it looks like from a distance. So the city says in that green space, about 11,000 businesses who would be eligible for all of this. They say it's not for lack of space. The city blames other factors for the slow rate of applications. A lot of businesses may not find a landlord who is pot friendly. There are also state and federal laws that hamper all of this.
In this case, maps can sometimes be a little deceiving because 30% of businesses in Denver are eligible to apply. But you have to consider that there are state regulations and federal regulations because it is illegal federally. So if you have a loan on a business, a federal loan, and this is your building, maybe someone doesn't want to take the chance to do that in that case. If you are a national chain, maybe a coffee shop, which is we're seeing now our first licensee, a coffee shop. Maybe you don't want to apply for a license because that could put your entire business nationally in trouble.
So you heard him there. Maps are somewhat deceiving. By the way, we were at the licensing office today as the first social club in Denver picked up its license. The owner of the coffee joint near 8th Avenue and I-25 said she was driving back to the shop, slapped that thing on the wall, and they were going to start this whole business today. Kyle.
I asked you to zoom in on 9 News, Spear and Logan.
Well, I'm not good at zooming with this thing, but...
you zoomed earlier. Tell the good people what you found.
I zoomed earlier, and the entire 9 News property is in green.
Is in a green zone.
So, you know, we got that helipad.
Yeah, that sparks an idea, Steve. Thank you. Power lines caught fire and fell onto I-270 last night in Commerce City. Excel told everybody it was the rain, which made us curious because, I mean, it rained all over and there are power lines all over. So we caught up with Excel for more of an explanation today. They said that they were actually expecting this to happen, but they weren't sure where it was going to happen. A spokesman explained to us that when it's dry, as it's been for the last month, then power lines begin to collect dirt and dust and industrial smoke, which certainly there's plenty of in Commerce City. That debris binds together and it can cause problems on the lines during light rainstorms.
As the moisture comes in and kind of turns that into a gloppy substance, if you will, a goop, whatever you want to call it, we know that the electricity in certain places flowing down the line is going to come to that point on the insulator, and it tends to jump a very short distance to the poles.
In the places where the pole is made of wood, well, obviously that's where you get a fire. Power and water, of course, generally don't mix. Last October, we told you how light rail power lines were arcing due to ice. I don't know if the anti-drunk driving messages that we share here work. I know that every St. Patrick's Day weekend we hear about another pile of arrests. Hopefully no injuries or deaths. So we won't stop trying.
He said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, there has been a rollover accident on I-25 and I want more pictures, I want more memories, I want more of her life." On March 17th, I was getting some phone calls from my daughter. I could tell that she had been drinking. I was really upset because my biggest concern was that she was going to get a DUI. I got up that morning and was getting ready for work and I heard door knock, and I knew that she wouldn't have knocked. I knew it wasn't her. I knew instantly that there was a problem, and my heart just kind of dropped when I opened the door. I just said, "Is she dead?" And he said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, there has been a rollover accident on I-25, and I'm sorry to inform you that she did not survive." I feel that Rachel wants me to continue to let people know that the decision to drink and drive does not only affect the person that's drinking and driving. It doesn't matter if you get a DUI, it doesn't matter if you get in an accident or whatever. The people that are affected are everyone around you, your family, your friends, the entire community is affected by your choice to drink and drive.
Holy wind. It was just ruthless out there. 20, 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts up and down the urban corridor. Things are slowly starting to simmer down. We still have a couple more hours to go, and the wind's still fierce across the eastern side of the state in the 40 mile per hour range near Sterling. At least we have some sunshine and blue skies, right? The day couldn't be better as that storm system pushed out overnight into early this morning. Tonight we'll go with mostly clear skies. Overnight lows down to about 30 degrees, wind simmering down. Should be a nice night, a dry night across the entire state. As we head toward tomorrow, things still looking pretty good. 8 a.m. if you're heading out to the parade, all is looking good. We'll have plenty of sunshine out there. Don't forget to wear your green. By the afternoon, a few high-level clouds start rolling in. Light snowfall for our central mountains. This is ahead of another storm system that will be moving in for us on Sunday. Late tomorrow evening, it becomes a bit more widespread across the western slope, but still, we'll be waiting for this next storm to roll into the metro by Sunday afternoon. So you still have one day of the nice mild temperatures to get out and about for your St. Patty's Day. We're looking at daytime highs in the mid-60s, mostly sunny skies, 70s in Lamar with 40s and 50s up in the high country. A great day to get out and do some skiing tomorrow, too. Slightly cooler on Sunday. Little rain, little snow, and then we start to warm things up as spring arrives.
I plan to get out and or about, Danielle.
I hope you do.
You know it.
In green.
Case Keenum's here, everybody, and it's almost like he has always been a Bronco. How else do you explain that the Broncos' new quarterback, introduced at a press conference this morning, had a photo close at hand of him growing up in Texas back in the day, a photo in which he's wearing John Elway's number 7. Elway, of course, put that number in the proverbial rafters in Denver, so Keenum's going to wear number 4 for the Broncos. Andrew Hamilton will jokingly tell you he succeeds at suffering. And today that suffering paid off with a new climbing record atop Colorado's 14ers. The man whose day job is computer programming reached the top of Quandary Peak around lunch. He has now climbed all of Colorado's 59 14,000-foot peaks in one single winter. When we first talked to him in late February, he had done 43. He left 16 of the hardest climbs for last, and he had about a month's time. He thought back then he had a 50-50 shot of making the new record. Today he did it with 4 days to spare. Ready to end your news week on an encouraging note? We will meet a life-saving teacher and share your good news next. Tonight we bring you the story of a teacher who was tested in a way she never expected. Here's Nelson Garcia.
Class. Yes.
As a young teacher at Rose Hill Elementary in Commerce City.
And we're going to find the area of mixed numbers.
Brianna Sterling knows she has a lot to learn.
This is my second year teaching.
Leading her 5th graders.
1 3/4.
Like Marco Santuna and his best friend Brian Alas.
While I was drinking my water, it had a hole in the cap and then I didn't screw it on right.
He put the cap in his mouth and he drank some water and he started choking.
The bottle cap fell in my throat and my friend Brian.
A few seconds later, a student shouted that he was choking.
I was thinking that I might die.
I was scared because he was my first friend since I got to the school.
This one?
Sterling says she walked over to Marcos and remembered her first aid training from college.
I was really calm and it was just instinct and I just started doing the Heimlich and...
Out popped the bottle cap.
I'm glad that I'm still alive and not in the hospital.
Who can give me the example of an area?
Sterling spends her days teaching kids about conflict and dealing with real-world problems. So she turned the ordeal into a lesson.
She told us to write about it and to see if he's okay.
Dear Marcos, I'm glad that you're okay. When you started choking, I was a little worried. I'm glad you're not in the hospital.
Marcos keeps these notes in his backpack every day now, right next to his football.
They were nice notes.
Janita, what do I need to do?
Sterling learned as a young teacher, you never know when your students might need you the most.
I think that's been the hardest part of it, is that it could have ended up worse than it did.
For Next, I'm Nelson Garcia.
Sterling is asking kids to bring more substantial water bottles. They've banned those disposable ones with the removable caps. If you were intrigued by the idea of borrowing art, as we discussed last week, now's your chance. The Octopus Initiative is open at Denver's Museum of Contemporary Art. They are lending out their excess art so you can display it in your home for up to a year. You can pick a piece online or in person. Finding the art a new home is Adam Lerner's job.
Looking at it with a different mindset. Like when they are in the gallery, they pass through works pretty quickly, almost passively. But when they're here looking at things they might take home, they're saying like, oh, I think I like this one better than that one. Or like, I like the color on this a little bit better. And therefore, they're more actively engaged with the art. And I think it's really interesting to see.
The museum buys the pieces they loan out, so the local artists who create them are paid for their work. They also receive free studio space and materials. We have your good news and my apology next. You can find a little bit of everything on the 16th Street Mall, including your good news.
So, good news. Oh, my good news?
My good news is that I'm living. I'm trying to do positive things, you know?
Need a high five? Have a good day. Need a high five? Have a good day. You betcha. Have a good day. My grandmother always told me, always be positive, because negative never gets you nowhere. Need a high five? There you go, sweetheart. So, yeah, it's a great day out.
Cool breeze going through. Beautiful day.
It's a gorgeous day, if the wind would die down. This is one of the most beautiful places I've ever come to interact with people. Because there's people that like to help out here in Colorado. Oh, that's some strange wind. I believe that positivity is the key to the universe, man. Have a good day, have a good day, have a good day. Need high fives? Have a good day. If you keep a positive attitude, people will look at you better. Need a high five? Great smile. Yeah, both of you. There you go, sweetheart. Have a good day. If we bring positivity to the table in the realm of life, that life will give you back positivity in a plentiful portion. Thank you, sweetheart. Keep coming by. See what I mean? Positive gets you everywhere. You need another one? Anytime. You like hugs too? Oh, you're welcome. You keep coming by for more, all right?
My sincere apologies to everyone offended that I wore a Syracuse sweater on Wednesday before they won their game in order to play tonight. You should be able to expect that I will be professionally dressed on this program each and every evening. We finish with your feedback in the form of a yard sign stuck on our lawn today. The message is pretty clear, but check that out. 9 News, still on top. Fantastic. See you next time.